Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is September 8th and we're just fresh back from the weekend. Have a bunch of random stuff I did, kind of stirring up these boards. Over the weekend I ran the miners a few times, basically on mica veins and manganese veins, specifically because we needed mica for crafting the mega EBF, and then the manganese because that's the only place I have currently to get niobium, which we use for a few different things, which I'll get into. So, real quick, want to start with something I missed that I actually did way back on last Thursday, which kind of kicked off my trajectory for the whole weekend, at least Minecraft wise, which was setting up this guy. So, specifically, this guy is here to craft my what's called silicon solar grade dust. So what kind of inspired this is I went to for in the background all the phosphorus dipped bowls that you end up throwing in the cutting machine for wafers. Like those things take forever to craft, even with the upgrades. I mean, it's still 150 seconds is what I have going on that EBF. So I would craft like 10 at a time and then just kept randomly selecting and crafting those. Then I noticed I was low on my solar grade. That's because I messed up at some point. Basically, my solar grade was being crafted over in my LV area. Still, I'd never bothered upgrading it or moving it. And at some point, I'd like unstuck or picked up the pipe that was feeding it and kind of messed that system up. But it lasted for a while. But I didn't want this to like infinitely craft and like run out of raw silicone dust, because you do use that for a few things. So kind of set up this is my first process where I've actually thrown a level emitter on it for the purpose of shutting it down. Specifically, I have this guy set to silicon solar grade ingots, even though the ingots are crafted over here. I'm going to change this. This was just my very first thing I did, because I basically threw the silicone dust down over my passive UVFs over here, and then figured this will leave it so I have silicone dust, silicone ingots, and then what have you, have access to all three and not have to wait on these guys to craft anymore, because this was one I noticed I was spending time waiting for it to craft, and I figured I should take care of that and have those on hand. This is kind of like a little self-contained up here, so basically I have salt cycling through, the salt extracts into sodium and chlorine, which then we use the sodium over here for the second stage of the process and chlorine for the first. The only thing we have to feed into it is raw silicone dust, and then right here out comes specifically the solar grade, and then the salt feeds back into the electrolytes. Pretty simple loop. Before it was single block LV machines is all I had doing this. But anyways, as for so with that though, I kind of got the itch. I was like, I should probably get some more things on passive. So I ended up crafting some level maintainers, and I threw them down over here. I'd actually originally thrown one up by like my control platform. Then I noticed like you only have 5. So realistically, I'm going to need a bunch of them, and I don't want to fill up there with these things. So I made a little spot down here, threw it on a P2P network, so I can have 32 of these guys for now, and then obviously throw down more networks as I need them. Right now, part of this too was those passive EBFs, since they were constantly crafting. Like I have 100,000 aluminum right now, which is far more than I'm going to need for a while. So basically these are the 5 metals like for each level, as well as some of the ones that are used for like neodymium. We use the rings and rods. Black steel we use for wire and a lot of crafts. Tungsten, same thing, and same thing for electrum. And then this TPV alloy I just have set down here because this stuff takes forever to craft, so the more I have it on hand, save me a lot of time, at least moving forward. The only other stuff I've thrown on here, I threw Vibrant Alloy, because this is another one I craft a lot and have to wait on, and then just blank patterns, because since I have the pattern card up in the thing, now I'll never I should basically never have to run out of patterns again, which is pretty sweet. And then down here, just early, not too long ago, like a few hours ago, I threw in all the SMDs, because this is the other part I mainly wait on when I'm waiting for crafting. So that was the level maintainers. Pretty nifty, gonna save a lot of time. That was kind of the goal for the weekend, is speeding things up. So I did do a lot for the auto crafting here, but first I want to go back to my circuit assembly area. Specifically my clean room, I should say. Also, look at all these flowers. These bees are ridiculous, but it does look pretty. So if we hop into here, hop into my clean room, we can already see there's a big change here, which is I have 32 EV combustion generators over here. A little overkill, but honestly, the C18 boosted diesel more than keeps up now. Since it's basically these will only be used when we're crafting stuff, so this is just in case I put in a huge craft. I don't want it like spazzing out because I don't have enough amperage. So if you don't know, to get power into the clean room though, you gotta use diodes, and as far as I can tell, the 16 amp diode is the biggest, but I have 32 machines up here, so or nearly 32. There's actually 30, but I'll show why here in a second. But this will make it so I don't have to worry about that. I just use 2 diodes, and this is all superconductor EV wire, so it doesn't have any loss of power or loss over the more distance it goes. I was waiting for one more to craft, so that's why that one's aluminum, but it'd be alright. So over here, as you can see, I have tons of circuit assemblers now. I did notice earlier I might need to kind of change my philosophy on this, but basically what I got going on is these are actually, instead of ME interfaces, they're P2P tunnel interfaces, and all these are linked together. So now, instead of just waiting on one circuit assembler, the recipe will spread evenly across all the circuit assemblers, and then this pipe right here is feeding the molten tin. Kind of forgot about the molten tin when setting down these two, which is kind of why they look a little silly. But I'll fix all that, especially whenever one of the next ones on my multi-blocks on my list is the cutting machine, and then I'll be able to pull this little section out of here, and that won't be an issue anymore. But the problem I noticed though is that, so like right now all the tiers of circuits are in here, and even though I have all these machines, it actually treats it like one. So from what I can tell, like it won't initiate the EV circuit craft, for example, when I have 2 of the HV, because they're all on the same thing. So I might, especially once I get the cutting machine out of here, I think is when I'll worry about fixing that. Like do like 16 of the HV ones, a line of the EV, a line of the IV. I might even move the P2P tunnel inside here so I can have more than 32 channels, but that's future plans or ideas, because I also might just build a second clean room for all my like IV circuit assemblers when I finally craft those, because we'll obviously need those here pretty soon to go upwards and craft circuit tier. But moving back to the main base, while I'm approaching it, I did start cleaning up this area a lot. It's been a while since I've shown this particular floor, so it probably doesn't seem like it'd be hard to tell what changed, but I actually had stuff kind of going all over the place. This is where I was dropping stuff with like setups like this, where before I had fluid on AE2, I would have this ME interface, then fluid extractor plus assembler for like each of my different setups. I'm slowly working on getting rid of those. These ones, I haven't had to craft any of these in a while, so I'm not too worried about it. But like, for example, my Lapitron crystals were over here, like in that setup, also with a HV versus EV autoclave. So I moved this stuff around. Part of the reason that inspired this is so I have this dedicated circuit 3 assembler here specifically for the SMDs, because these are going to get used on auto crafting, so I didn't want this jamming up things I actually request. And I think I'll do that. I think in a similar vein, I kind of want to craft a second one of these multi-smelters and throw down like iron or whatever, iron, tin, the ones that I use commonly, that I currently just have in dust form. That way I have like, and throw those on the level maintainers. I don't know when I'll get to that. I'm not too worried about it because this thing is incredibly fast, even with the way just being. I think I just have it at HV, but well, that's a future thing. I think I showed this off Friday. I can't remember, but just in case I didn't, I did add out these 4 vacuum freezers here. So I believe I had talked about this already, but basically there were some ingots where the cooling time was longer than the smelting time over here, so I had a weird bottleneck, but this alleviated that. If I already talked about that, my apologies. And then going on up to the next floor, so these guys were here before. These are what I needed all the niobium for. These are all extruders, and the way I have them set up on the back is like, for example, this one is my rods, and my I have too many rod patterns, so I have this up here. So, and then I'm just going down the line, throwing on the different patterns. I tried to spread them out to like common ones wouldn't be on top of each other or using up the same machines. I kind of sort of stuck to that. Then I got to these pipes and I was like, it probably makes more sense for me, like speed wise in the future, if when I'm dropping patterns in, to be like tiny, small, normal, large, huge, etc. But some of this stuff is like a huge upgrade for me anyways. Like this cell one, I actually had this on an MV extruder still, so it was painfully slow to get cells. That's all fixed now. And then I have some goofy like one-offs, like the steel pole that's more used for like the space stuff, but is very uncommonly used. But that's the extruders. Same philosophy as before. All come in off directly through ME interfaces. Then they all extract out and ultimately come to this chest where they're this guy's got a bunch of acceleration upgrades, so they're pulled into the system pretty fast. If I ever have one where I need it faster out, like for example foils or plates, I'll add speed upgrades to this, but so far I don't really have any speed issues here, but that may change as I get like kind of adjusted to the current speed. Over here are all my mixers, same sort of philosophy. I got my main ones that I used before, so this is no circuit, circuit 1, circuit 2, circuit 12, 13, and then my random one-off circuits. I spread these ones was a little easier to decide out which are the main ones to spread on their own, and then like these guys are all kind of one-offs that I don't use very often, like circuit 24 and 6, for example. This 8 one, at some point I'll throw in the rest of these, but not too in a rush for that. And then up on the next floor, these guys are my wire mills. And then same thing, same philosophy, though this one has its own chest. Got circuit 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my random 8 and 16, just because I don't use these nearly as often. These are in there by mistake. I kept messing up and throwing the superconductor 16 amp wire in one of these. Actually, that superconductor wires actually need to be made in the assembly machine instead of the wire mill. Let's see. And then for going forward, so there's just a couple things. So one of my goals for the weekend was to make the Mega EBF. I didn't quite get there, unfortunately. You will notice though, I did craft 64 EBFs. Vacuum freezers, I got 64, so I'm ready for these. The main thing was my coils. If we look in here, I'm still waiting on 400 more coils, so that'll be roughly another 3 hours, I believe. Let's see, I can actually do it real quick. It takes 30 seconds a coil, so 418 times 30 divided by 60. Oh, jeez, I did that math wrong. 418 times 30 divided by 60. And then divided by another 60. So yeah, I'm at 3.5 hours left on these guys. But this was a nice stress test. I mean, these wires, like, I didn't craft all this at once. So while I was waiting for some HSS to smelt, I crafted up all the mica. And then while I was waiting on some TPV to smelt, I crafted all the wire, which those wire mills it's so much faster. But as for the immediate future, so this actually wouldn't be in there anymore. So down here, you can actually see maybe it is up there. Maybe I didn't set up. Oh, that's right, I didn't set up a pattern. So I do have an electric compressor to put down to get rid of some of my stuff down there and speed that part up of the auto crafting. I did look into the autoclave, but unfortunately that one's LUV. I do want to get the cutting machine next, and then the compressor, and then the lathe, I think, is the order I want to go in for finishing upgrading the auto crafting as far as I can right now. I believe that'll cover everything. I did also want to I am kind of, it's not too bad. My tantalum's still a little low, so I was going to throw my Demon Bee, which gives me simmering combs, which is how I'm getting tantalum passively right now, because basically you just centrifuge the lava. But I was going to throw that in one of the industrial apiaries, but I was a little disappointed to notice that the upgrades specifically regarding climate, so like, there you go, heater upgrade, for example, need this climate control module, which is very specific. Oh, this one is only an LUV motor, but there are a few of the components in there that need LUV. One of them I saw specifically needed an LUV assembler, which was I had plans for upgrading the bees, but for the moment, I mean, we're in Ivy, so it's only one more tier, but that'll be might have to throw down more apiaries before LUV, when I thought I would be done with that and moving on to just the industrial. Like I said, I want to throw down the compressor, the craft cutting machine, and a lathe. The other, and then hopefully tomorrow, the Mega EBF and Mega Vacuum to really up my smelting speed for everything. The last thing, when I just had a little bit of time at the end of the day today, I set up just to test is this Lapatron. So this Route 4 is where I'm going to do my Monzonite line. Like I said last week, one of my goals for the week is to complete, my goal would be to complete both of these lines here, but for sure complete one of them. So I'm going to start with this monazite. And I wanted to test because my original thought was I was going to have to run wire from here, which isn't the worst in terms of like resources, but this is, that's at where the Lapatron capacitor is at 55, so that's already 55 wire up, and then not to mention the over, so like 100 times like you're losing like 400 EU per tick on that amount of wire. I remember reading in the book, the quest book, that there was a big penalty for using the energy P2Ps, but honestly, like, this guy is all full right now, so nothing's coming in. But when I had this guy running to fill up, I went in, looked at the basics. Sorry, get a little ahead of myself. So what I decided to test out was using energy P2Ps, specifically the main battery that powers AE2, because that one only currently outputs 700 EU per tick, whereas it takes in 120,000. So I figured I would try it on that one and see what the penalty actually comes to, but it's honestly not that, it wasn't noticeable once I added filling this guy in. So I basically threw a energy P2P on one of the dynamo hatches on there, threw it on the energy hatch up here, and then with the AE network running, like I said, it's about 7k EU per tick, and then these two could go at 32,000 EU per tick. It was right at 40, so like the penalty is kind of non-existent. So it was I'm glad I tested that, because basically my thought process is I'm going to throw this one down for the monazite line, then like up here I'll throw one down and then do the platinum line on this floor. So that's kind of cool that works out. But I think specifically tomorrow, I want to finish out the multi-blocks and upgrading auto-crafting just to kind of speed things up and really kind of help propel to the future. Well, at the same time, I'm going to I think I would swap back and forth casually between upgrading auto-crafting and throwing machines down for the monazite line, so it feels like I'm making progress and not, same update tomorrow where it's, yep, threw down some multi-blocks. I'm definitely going to throw down the Mega EBF. I'm really excited to throw that. I haven't quite decided where those two massive multi-blocks are going to go because they are huge. Kind of feeling like maybe out on this lawn here and then kind of like building something around them. I do plan on eventually crafting two Mega EBFs, one to be on passive and one to be on auto crafting, but considering how long the craft for this first one's taken, we'll see about that and how long into the future I do that. But anyways, I believe that was everything I wanted to cover. Let me check my list. I started writing it down. Oh yeah, there was one small thing. It's kind of feel like I whiffed to finish on this, but one of the other things I upgraded because I was running the miner so much was this mixer here. So basically before, what I had going on was a single block mixer and a canning machine and just kind of doing a loop of water and lubricant, but it was not keeping up with this drilling fluid. So instead I threw down this mixer which we feed in lubricant as well as stone, and then I threw a reservoir hatch on, which I kind of forgot about because when I first dropped this I actually still had the water reservoir, the 4-block one, and that was still really slow, and I was like, wait a minute, stop being silly. Threw in this reservoir hatch, and now this more than keeps up with the drilling fluid. I also, as part of this, I'm not going to run over and show it, but basically the distillery specifically I was using for lubricant before because it was more than enough to keep up. I just had that on LV. I actually upgraded that all the way to EV because this machine was way outpacing that. So all that stuff's upgraded now, and I have plenty of drilling fluid for my multi-block drilling needs. But anyways, that's I think I've been rambling long enough. I'm gonna go eat dinner and then kind of work on throwing that compressor multi-block down and starting to craft the other ones I need. But I hope everyone has a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.